everyone and hello guys, good day to all of you. This video contains of our different learnings together with my group members based on our discussions in this geology subject. Now, as we were all distracted in this international crisis, the pandemic seemed to affect everybody, every territory, especially in our geological sectors. But remember, pandemic has really made profound effect and almost all sectors were affected, not only the business sectors, but also to our mining and industry sectors. However, despite of this pandemic we are constantly experiencing, it has really taught us that we all need to nurture our geological system, which has been also damaged by the pandemic. Amidst this toughest situation, I could say that we all have been resilient. We all had made it totally clear that we are very much concerned to our geological system as what we are being concerned to the earth. In this trying time, we fully witnessed the damages of the geological industry, particularly the land deformation, affected population, and soil erosion. With all the learnings of this subject, I completely understand in different way of what was happening on the earth around us. And now, as we are disclosing our videos corresponding to the learnings that we have gained through our discussion, there are only three things that we would like to emphasize as the mining engineering students like us, and it could be the protection, preservation, and promotion for the betterment of our environment and for the sustenance of our society. And now you may also listen the voice of my members expressing their ideas.
Expound types of rocks. There are three types of rocks: igneous, sedimentary, and metamorphic rock. Igneous rock or magmatic rock is one of the three main rock types. It is formed through the cooling and solidification of magma or lava. They can be either glassy or coarse. Most igneous forms include more than one mineral deposit. The example of this is granite, pegmatite, and peridotite. While sedimentary rocks are formed from pre-existing rocks or pieces of once living organisms. They form from deposits that accumulate on the Earth's surface. It is often have distinctive layering of bedding. The example of this is limestone, sandstone, and saltstone. And the last is metamorphic rocks. Metamorphic rocks arise from the transformation of existing rock to new types of rock. This process is called metamorphism. It changed by intense heat or pressure while forming. The example of this is the phyllite, schist, and quartzite.
Going through the course, one of the things that I have learned is about geological formations. Now, as far as I can remember, geological formations are natural processes or formation of bodies of rocks or masses of rocks that has consistent set of physical characteristics or properties that differentiate themselves from among the adjacent bodies of rocks that is present in the region, in which each of these bodies of rocks occupies particular position in the layer of rocks that is being exposed within a geographical region. In other words, geological formation is a formation of a rock unit that is distinctive enough in appearance for a geological mapper to distinguish and to tell apart from its surrounding bodies of rocks. The concept of geological formation is a vital unit in the study of strata or the layer of rocks. The study of layer of rocks is called lithostratigraphy, and in each of these layers of rocks contains a valuable information that could help us correlate different geologic strata across wide distances, and which will help us determine the different processes or formations that is occurring below our surface. That's all, thank you.
As a mining engineering student, I fully visualize that plate tectonics is the principle that Earth's outer shell is split into big slabs of stable rock called plates that float over Earth's mantle, the rocky internal layer above Earth's core. It lubricates the undersides of Earth's tectonic plates permitting the lithosphere to transport around. I also learned that tectonic shift is the movement of the plates that make up the crust. The heat from radioactive processes inside the planet causes the plates to move towards or away from each other. This movement is called plate movement or tectonic shift.
Throughout the discussions in our geology class, I've come to learn many things. Apart from the new topics, I've also rediscovered and learned more about the things I was already familiar with, especially about the different types of plate boundaries: divergent, convergent, and transform. In some regions, plates spread apart, and this is what we call a divergent boundary, while in other places, plates move towards one another, and this is what we call a convergent plate boundary. And in a few locations, plates grind against each other side by side in opposite directions, and this is what we call a transform plate boundary. While those are the basic definitions of each type of plate boundary, many people don't immediately realize the greater meaning behind the causes and consequences of these different processes. A divergent boundary creates a new crust, a convergent boundary forms deep ocean trenches, and a transform boundary reforms and displaces the earth beneath us.
What is the cause of plates? First of all, it's important to know that Earth crust is broken up into largest pieces called tectonic plates. Remember, tectonic plates are giant pieces of the Earth crust that fit together and move around the Earth's surface. Scientists believe the primary force behind the plate movement is thermal convection. Thermal convection is the heat from the core of the Earth transferred to the surface Earth by the mantle. The mantle is the thick, mostly solid layer of the Earth between crust and core. Thermal convection is like a pot of boiling water. In convection, heat from the stove warms up the water close to the stove, causing the water to expand and rise. Cooler water near the surface of pot sink to the take-off place of the rising water. In doing so, a current of water is set up flowing toward the surface and back down again. Using this model, the stove is like a core and the water is like a liquid matter that rotates. This forms the type of convection current that causes.
So what I've read and learned is that plate tectonics is the generally accepted scientific theory that considers the Earth's lithosphere. So there were two types of plates. First is continental plate. Scientifically, it is one of the large pieces of the Earth's surface that moves separately. It is massive and thick in layers. And second is oceanic plate. Oceanic plate is a tectonic plate at the bottom of the sea formed by divergent plate boundaries. It is denser and thinner in layers, generally less than 10 kilometers thick than that of continental plate. The contrast between the two plates where continental crust is thicker and on the contrary, the oceanic is thinner. Continental crust floats on magma freely while oceanic crust floats scarcely.
Soil movement. There are various types of soil movements that may occur disregard of the stresses imposed on the ground by foundations. So, it is necessary to consider adequate measures against such ground movement so as to prevent foundations from failure. Ground movement mitigation may involve the deepening of foundation to the soil that does not suffer such movements or construct a type of foundation that is able to take considerable amount of movements without causing structural damage. In this article, various types of ground movements and suitable types of foundations are discussed. There are several factors that cause the movement of soils which are discussed in the following sections. These are wetting and drying of clay soil due to moisture content changes, ground movements due to seepage of water and surface erosion, ground movements due to vibrations, ground movements due to hillside creep, ground movements due to mining subsidence, foundation on failed ground, and machinery foundation.
So you can see, these processes have, for over millions of years, been responsible for forming and defining the surface of the Earth. and you don't have to wait for millions of years to feel the effects, because most seismic activity, like earthquakes, occur at these three types of plate boundaries. It's why our landscape is the way it is, because of these three things that we don't often give much thought to: divergent, convergent, and transform plate boundaries.